First of all, a brief word of introduction, because I'm a hybrid sort of person. I'm a researcher and I'm a campaigner, and which is mutually enriching and destructive. I'll let you which prevails really. I've been asked to talk about quality in the context of scientific advice, and I'm going to do that. But before that, I wanted to give you a few insights into something that I think has not been discussed so far and could be very interesting for all of you. It's how to say? It's the. I'll start with an anecdote first of all. As a campaigning group, we are campaigning against the TTIP, the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership, and I was discussing the other day with somebody who's having a very active role in the organization of the campaign on this, and she was telling me that more or less every week she's receiving a very good intention and well-meaning, usually sociology student who wants to study them. How is the campaign organizing? And her standard response is, thank you very much. Could you please go study the enemy rather than us, please? Because at the moment we're in a very sensitive position, and if you produce intelligence about what we are doing, that's going to weaken us. And so that's a first observation for you. The second thing is that, of course, evidence doesn't grow on trees. It's costly, and somebody has to pay for it. And because I was involved personally into that, I thought I would give you some insights into the lobbying battle on Horizon 2020. This is actually a letter that's the first page of the letter, and that's the first page of the signatories, that we put together to try to lobby the Commission into taking into account a broader definition of innovation, not only technology development, not only market-based research, but something that has a broader societal relevance, in our opinion, of course. So that's what we did, and I was very happy actually about the process. It was a difficult process. It took us 3 months among 15 different organizations to write the letter, and eventually it got signed by more than 120 different organizations in Europe. And we never got any official response from the Commission. We kept lobbying. The next slide I wanted to show you is very interesting. As my job basically consists in reading correspondence between lobby groups and industry lobby groups and the Commission. And normally they always ask decision makers to do something. This is extraordinary. This is a letter from Business Europe asking the Industry and Research Commission and Parliament not to do anything about the Commission proposal on the rules of participation and public-private partnerships in Horizon 2020. When I saw this, I thought, well, we've really lost. No, sorry, I'm one step too early. Eventually, we won something. Now there's something in Horizon 2020 called Science in and for Society. Apparently, the and for is thanks to our work, I was told. And we apparently contributed to saving it. Now it's 0.60% of the total program funding, as opposed to the industrial leadership pillar, which got 22%, and that's an exclusive line for as an industry subsidy, you could say. And they've secured, thanks to this, their systematic involvement into the societal challenges pillar, which is almost 40%. So. Again, science is beautiful, but it's not neutral, and it comes from somewhere. Another observation now is that more and more in my work, I see that the symbolic power of science is used increasingly as for lobbying purposes. First of all, you can see that there is some really good recent sociological work into the profile of Brussels lobbyists, where you see that the proportion of hard science profiles is actually rising very steeply. It's very impressive. It's very interesting. Another thing is, we've heard it this morning already, but the word sound science, which is actually, when you look at the history of this terminology, it was coined by the PR industry, in this case working for the tobacco industry, to disqualify unwanted evidence in the broader battle to manufacture uncertainty on the risks posed by the products, to keep them as long as possible on the market, but also to disqualify politics more broadly. So now, if you look at very recent and ongoing developments at the EU level, if you look at programs like the better regulation thing, or within TTIP, the regulatory cooperation thing, you see that one of the common points in these programs is really to keep politicians away from real decisions, really. To leave them busy at seducing voters and leave the serious stuff to the serious people, that is, high officials and business people. This is not an exaggeration. But as Silvio pointed this morning, this instrumentalization of science to actually silence public criticism basically kills its pretension to be a resource for societal progress. I still believe in progress, and I hope I'm not being anachronistic here. Another observation, and I'll try to be fast. I really like this remark that actually perhaps before reaching the post-normal, perhaps getting the normal right would be a good start. And I'm point at one gaping fact, which is the fact that most of the evidence used to authorize products on the market in the European Union today is not accessible to independent scientists, because it's protected by commercial confidentiality clauses, and it's a longer story than that. But to put, so to tell only one example, you've certainly heard about the big row at the moment on the EU review of glyphosate, which is linked to a very popular company. It happens that EFSA justifies its decision by in particular, three studies. I'm almost done. By three studies that were commissioned by industry and that cannot be disclosed to the public. So this is actually the result of an access to document request to the European Food Safety Authority that refuses this. The other point is that when I asked about who were the authors of this review, this is what I got. A long list of blank boxes, because the individuals at stake refused to be identified for understandable reasons, actually. So the consequence is that this very important decision is being made today by anonymous people using secret official. How scientific is that? So I would have many more things to talk about, but just one last point, if I may, is that my main work at the moment and for the past years has been to document conflicts of interest at the European Food Safety Authority. Now, this is not a work that's making me many friends. I'm being accused of shooting the messenger and things like that. I don't think it's true, and why I think it's wrong is because conflicts of interest are mistakenly equaled to cases of intellectual dishonesty, whereas it's none of that. It's a situation, and we, in our analysis, is actually a recruitment mistake. So the problem, actually, of the independence policies in the European institutions at the moment is that the responsibility of this independence is shouldered by individuals, which is a completely unfair situation. So, and actually, we are not helped by the media here, because media love villains and they tend really to frame the issue in terms of stuff.
You are using the right to answer the questions.
Okay, fine. I'm done. Thank you very much for your attention. Sorry for having been too long.